Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Mountaineer Postgame Show. I'm Schuyler. That is legendary West Virginia running back Eugene Napoleon. West Virginia holding on to beat the Arizona Wildcats 31-26 to get back to 500 on the season and to improve to 3-2 in league play. Before we discuss this one, a look here at the numbers. Starting quarterback Nicco Marchiol in place of Garrett Green goes 18 of 22 for 198 yards and 2 scores. Jaheim White adds 92 yards on the ground on 12 carries. And for Arizona, we talked about it a lot on Thursday, Gene. Noah Fafita and Tet McMillan, that connection is dynamic, and it certainly played out to be this evening out in the desert as McMillan caught 10 passes for 202 yards and a touchdown. Fafita, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Gene, I believe I even said something in the game day show that, hey, if he goes for 200, well, it's probably going to be a long night. Well, he went for 200. Somehow, you would have thought that would have ended up in a loss, but for whatever reason, West Virginia found a way to win. And yeah, so our initial thoughts on this one.
Gutsy performance on the road, a much needed win. What could I say? Listen, Arizona, with all of the injuries coming into this game and being shorthanded, still put up a gutsy performance. But again, I was very impressed initially with our defense. I felt they played very well. I felt that they kept everything for the most part in front of them until the second half. And then, as always, a few miscues here, a few miscues there. Things happen. Arizona started to score some points. And to be honest with you, I still wasn't worried. I figured we would pull this game out, and I'm going to tell you something. If this is a glimpse of what we're going to have in a quarterback for next season, I have to admit, I'll take my hat off to the young fella.
Yeah.
He played very well, man. Granted, this is home for him. You got to come back and put on for the city, so to speak. He did his 1-2 tonight. He played very well. He played within the system, which is very important. He didn't get wild. He didn't get out of pocket, in certain instances, which most young quarterbacks would do. He didn't press. He did exactly what he needed to do to win this football game. And it was impressive. From my opinion, it was very, very impressive and much needed.
Yeah, so a little bit more on Nicco Marchiol. I thought he was tremendous in terms of his decision making for the most part. There was maybe one or maybe two passes that I think he could have either went in a different direction, or maybe it was just the timing was just a tad off. But I'm nitpicking at this point. That was as good of a performance that you could have asked for from him in this situation. And you're right. Like, I don't know what the future holds for him, for this team, or anything like that. I don't know if this is going to spark some quarterback controversy. More than likely won't, because Neil, we all know, is committed to Garrett Green. But
Right.
I mean, if he continues to show this in practice and Garrett is struggling in games, that question that he didn't really like in the post game press conference a week ago is gonna come up again, and rightfully so. As you
Sure.
talked about it, you're going back to a place where obviously he didn't grow up there, but he transferred there in high school to finish out his high school career, spend his last 2 years there. So that's a lot for him. That's a lot to go out on the road to make your first start of this season. And I think he pretty much stayed under control. What I noticed early on, and we talked about it again on Thursday, you needed to get the run game going, number one, but number two, you didn't need to come out and just start chucking it downfield and throwing these deep balls all over the place. Go a lot of underneath, easy completions, set things up for him, and then you can take your shots calculated wise. And I thought they did that today. A lot of east and west, a lot of stuff underneath, which I want to see more downfield passes in the future from him because we haven't seen a ton of it. But my, oh my, Gene, when he threw it deep down the field or over the middle, it was right on
Yeah.
the money, baby. 54-yard touchdown pass to Traylon Ray was a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Listen, he has touch. He has touch. He has all the things that you would want in a quarterback. The bottom line is he doesn't have the experience.
Yep.
So how about that? He has all the other intangibles. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table. Like you said, we don't know what the future is going to hold moving forward, at WVU for him or anybody else at this particular point, because we all know it's a totally different era in college sports with this transfer portal, NILs, and all this other nonsense. But he seems to be a young man that's committed to WVU, and hopefully it stays that way. He's a very good quarterback that can get better And it'll be scary to see if he gets better within our program because he has all the intangibles. I like what I saw tonight. I really did. That was a gutsy performance.
Ted McMillan is a certified dog. I think that's very, very obvious. Again, 10 catches, 200 some yards. Defensively, like you said, it kind of got a little hairy there in the fourth quarter. He had a 31-13 lead. It felt like this was going to be kind of, a cruise sail the rest of the way, but they found a way to kind of hang around, a couple of busted coverages. And for whatever reason, Gene, I don't know what the play call was. And I think they even mentioned on the broadcast, it looked like they were in Tampa too. I couldn't really tell, but
They
either
weren't
way, there was no help deep over the center of the field, and you had Trey Lathan, a linebacker that has struggled in pass coverage in these first year and a half at WVU, covering the best receiver in college football. That is not a good matchup.
Well, again, the players don't call the plays,
Yep.
right? So whatever is called, then that's what you're in. If you're in Tampa 2, where you have your linebacker that's going to drop, and I believe that's the middle of the field area that he's supposed to cover and get back there, no, there's no way that's going to happen when you have, like you said, arguably the best receiver between him and that freshman from Ohio State who's tearing it up right now. Those two, hands down. This young man tonight showed me something at the wide receiver position that I haven't seen in a long. Like routes all look the same. Stemming from a certain standpoint when he's coming out of his routes and breaking and all of that stuff. His hands is tremendous. His
Yeah.
hands is tremendous. So I really like this kid, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table at the next level. But look, all I'm happy with is that we got the win.
That's right.
I'll be
Because
honest with you, Schuyler. I don't care if he. I don't listen. I don't care if he would have caught 300 yards of footballs tonight, as long as we came out with the win. I don't care if it was by
yeah,
1 point, 2 points, 6 points. Don't matter. It's a W.
it is. And that's partially what I wrote in my initial thoughts article that's up on our website now at SI West Virginia is look, it wasn't pretty in the fourth quarter, but you were able to wash away the stink of the last 2 weeks. Now, are you going to wash it away from the fans' perspective? Probably not. Those things will hang on for forever. But
I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but hold on now.
yeah.
It depends. Look here. It depends if they had a good tailgating experience.
There was a strong contingent of Mountaineer fans out there in Tucson. So hats
Yo, so
off to them for getting out there and tailgating and then making
we
some noise
travel
in the
well.
stadium.
We travel well, baby. We travel well.
Yeah.
Just ask that in the comment section. Listen, if the fans had a good tailgating experience, please hit us up in the comments. Let us know how was the tailgating out there on the West Coast in Arizona. That's all I want to know.
Oh my goodness. But he's never gonna live that down, is he? He's never gonna
Uh,
live that down.
that's not going to
But
age well.
but like I was saying, I think it's something that can take away the sting of the last 2 weeks from their perspective, from the guys in the building and on this team. It's never going to go away from the fan side of it. But you go into the bye week in a much more respectable situation at 4-4. You're 3-2 in the league.
Right.
You're pretty much out of it in terms of the Big 12 race, but anything can happen. This league is so competitive. There's going to be there's going to be a two-loss team in the Big 12 championship, more than likely, or at least I should say it's very likely. So you're
Yeah.
hanging around. It's a lot better than being 3-5 and on a 3-game losing streak with no game to play next week. And as I talked about a couple of days ago, if that happened, then you're probably going to have some guys checking out mentally, and that's not what you want to have happen in the final month of the season. So, in a much better place, Gene, before we wrap up, since we are heading into the bye week, just give me your thoughts on the first 8 games of this season as a whole. Obviously, it's been a disappointment, but where do you think this team is heading? Do you know? Can you get a good feeling or a good pulse of where this team is heading in the final month of the season?
Tonight gave me a little bit of some hope. It gave me a glimpse as to they didn't give up. They didn't give up. They fought through. They battled through. They clutched. They grind to get this win. That's good. They'll go into a bye week. Hopefully, they'll get re-energized and come back a little bit more motivated
And healthy.
and healthy. That's the key point right now. Everybody's hurt this point in the season, and no matter where you're playing, everybody's hurt this time of the year. I'm hoping that with this week off, they'll get refocused and say, you know what, fellas, let's make a bond to ourselves. Let's win out. Let's take it 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time. When we come back, let's win out. If that's the case, I think we have enough talent to overcome mistakes. This is going to be real controversial. We have enough talent from top to bottom to overcome coaches' mistakes. I believe that. I believe that. Now, the key is, does the players believe that?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that this game's, we can win grimy. We can win in a gut, wrenching game. Come on, fellas. Let's rally around this thing. Let's turn this around. Let's win out.
And as I mentioned, you're not out of it until you're out of it. And right now you're 3-2 in the league. There's a couple of undefeateds there at the top as we record this, BYU and Iowa State. And then you have 3 one-loss teams. And then you're kind of right there in the middle of the pack right now. But if you do win out and you finish 7-2 in Big 12 play, which is realistic, you don't play. Hey, Gene, you notice on the schedule, there's this weird thing where there's not a little number next to the teams that any of the games that West Virginia plays from here on out. So maybe that means good things are on the way, and maybe you can win out. And if that does happen, you will be back in the conversation at the end of the month of November. So we'll see. Actually, one more thing before we get out of here, because it is going to be a topic over the next week or so. I firmly believe that Neal will go back to Garrett Green if healthy. If he's healthy, what do you do? I'm not asking you what Neal will do. I'm asking you what you would do if you were in his shoes. Who do you go?
I would go back to Green only because, listen, he has to finish this thing out strong. But I will tell you this. I think it'll be a shorter leash. If I went back to Garrett, it would be a shorter leash, and I would sit them both down and explain that so we're all on the same page. Because transparency wins in this situation, honestly. No, you go back to your senior, and let him know, look, but you have to play much better. You have to take care of the football, things of that nature. But that's what I would do. Yeah, I would go back to Garrett Green. Absolutely.
I'm 100% with you. Nicco showed some really good things tonight, but we have to keep in mind that was his first start of the season. They did a lot of things to really help him out. And Garrett is the guy that has a lot of experience. If you're going to win out or try and win out, you're going to have to go on the road to Cincinnati, which is a much better team than we thought. You're going to have to go on the road at the end of the year to Lubbock, and that's a really tough place to play, as we all know. And Texas Tech is playing better all of a sudden. So I know they had the loss last week, but they bounced back. So we'll see. But, yeah, Garrett's going to be able to get you through some of those tough situations. Or Nicco, maybe he's ready, maybe he's not. You probably have a better pulse on where Garrett is in terms of that side of it. So, again, West Virginia defeats Arizona 31-26, go to 4-4 on the season heading into the bye week. And that'll do it for us here on the Mountaineer Postgame Show. Make sure you click that subscribe button here at our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. Give us a follow on X at SI_WVU. For the legendary Mountaineer running back Eugene Napoleon, number 33, I'm Schuyler Callihan. We'll see you guys here in a couple of days. Take care.